What are some signs you can tell from early on that someone who appears to be friendly and polite is actually a bad person? Let's start with the first story. People who seem to go out of their way to do nice things for you that you never wanted or asked for, then ask for things from you and get upset if you don't reciprocate. It's manipulative and a huge red flag. Story number 2. We all get jealous. It's a normal human emotion. What defines a terrible person is how they act when they're jealous. This person gossips, belittles and questions the abilities of the people they're jealous of. What does she have that I don't? How come she got a job at a reputable place while I still don't have a job? Have you seen her high school and college grades? They also feel entitled to news about your life. I am upset that you didn't tell me earlier you got a job. You should have told me sooner. And if you confront them about their jealous attitude, they start listing your own failures and making up stuff about you. Next story. Pay attention how that person talk about others when they aren't around. It doesn't matter how nice they treat you. If they're always insulting and criticizing behind people's back or having fights, it's a big sign on how they'll treat you when you are no longer their friend. Fourth story. Pay attention to what they say, how they react to other people. Bad people tend to talk themselves up and compare themselves with others more than usual. People with bad intentions try to get close to you faster than normal. This can be pleasing at first, but be careful. You see and maybe meet loads of new people, strangers on a day with little to no interaction. If someone starts talking to you and goes straight for personal motivations and is over-friendly, be aware of their intentions. Sincere people know what to ask and pay attention to your reactions and your non-verbal communication. Story number 5. How far you'd have to go to be considered a bad person, so it's hard to say. But I guess when they constantly ask you for favors and never return them, or even offer to. Basically just using you but without making it obvious. Mainly if that's the only interaction you ever have with them. They're manipulative and good at disguising it. Mainly referring to people you just met, or who are still new in your life rather than old friends or people you've known for a while. Being used and simply being relied on is different but can be hard to differentiate. Sixth story. I look at how they deal with having power over a person or a situation. Restaurants and stores are great for this. If something goes wrong, are they demanding and rude in getting it fixed? Do they treat people waiting on them with respect? Do they accept being told no? Do they leave messes for the help to clean up when they could easily clean up for themselves? Related, when they make a decision for the group, are they thinking about what other people in that group want, or can and cannot do? Or is it just what they want? Planning a 10-mile hike when the rest of the group can't walk that far is not a good sign. Choosing a restaurant without even thinking about what other people might want, i.e., we have kids and you picked a gourmet place with no kids menu. Or someone is kosher or vegan and you pick a place that doesn't even offer those options, it's not a good sign. Just in general, if you can't think about the needs of a group, then you're probably an a-hole. Story number 7. Well, it's hard because obviously bad people have to become good at hiding their true selves in the beginning in order to succeed at whatever they're trying to do. One good way to spot an insincere person is if they seem too nice. If they seem overly friendly and accommodating, and like agreeing with everything you say, they are probably faking. Next story. When they don't help you with a problem but instead they tell you that sometime they were in a situation that was worse than yours, that they were feeling worse than you do, and basically making you feel bad for feeling bad. Story number 9. I am always skeptical of people who seem a little too smooth, like trying so hard to present that they like whatever you like and agree with everything you say. Also, people who jump right into some sob story, seeking pity, and people who talk themselves up a little too much. Overly charming people are often narcissists, or worse. Let's get to the next story. As another one said, observe and pay attention closely. People who are in a rush to earn your attention and friendship are definitely ones to watch out for. Very little amount of people approach that way and actually have good intentions. Let's get to the next story. For me, it's downplaying your feelings or experiences, often to elevate their own standing in the conversation. They have easy solutions for everything that are based on their own achievements and what's important to them. There is no consideration that another person can have different goals than them. They make you feel like you should strive to be like them, and whatever you're doing or enjoy will never lead to success in any way. Let's get to the next story. Now, keep in mind, I have 0 friends, but I've found I'm pretty good at picking out bullies. A lot of times it's obvious by what they say. They come across as clearly mean, but occasionally a bully will say things in such a way that you don't realize they're putting you down. You just have a suspicion they don't like you or what you said and you want to correct it. Generally people that are charismatic but flippant in a conversation. They dismiss your thoughts or ideas jokingly, or, If they like what you said, they'll find some way to claim it for themselves. For instance, yesterday I was talking to a group of people and I suggested a song. There's a woman in this group who has been giving me bad vibes. She spoke up saying she liked the song and proceeded to play it for everyone and tell everyone all about it. By the end of the conversation, people were asking her to send them the name of the song and had completely forgotten I was the one who suggested it. Another red flag is people who friendly tease endlessly, and then if you get upset they say you're being too sensitive. Though normally it's a lot more subtle than that. Anyone who makes fun of someone else who is clearly upset isn't worth your time. Story number 13. My go-to key dating advice is look at what makes them laugh. Knew a girl who was fine AF but only really laughed if people got hurt, like a stubbed toe, or embarrassed. Let's get to the next story. One day they'll be really sweet, and the next you'll wonder what you've done to upset them. There's usually nothing obvious to explain the change in attitude, you just know something is off. They may be prickly, sad, indifferent or cranky, and when you ask if something is wrong, the answer may be nothing, but they'll give you enough to let you know something is up. Just so maybe a long sigh, a raised eyebrow and a cold shoulder. When this happens, you may find yourself making excuses for them or doing everything you can to keep them happy. Understand why it works for them. Story number 15. I was best mates with a very naive girl a few years ago whom I was maid of honor for. 8 months before the wedding, she met a new colleague who tried to be her BFF as soon as they met. This girl had a ton of red flags. She had no friends at all. She wasn't new to the area, so that isn't why she had no friends. She was super possessive over my friend and regularly referred to them as besties. Within weeks of meeting, acted very teenage despite being in her mid-30s. Next story. People who prematurely ask you a lot of questions about yourself that progressively get more vulnerable and or embarrassing but never share any info regarding themselves, like almost searching for your weaknesses or what they can use against you. Let's get to the next story. They try to enmesh themselves with you very soon after meeting them. They try to pry into your personal life to learn things about you very early on. And it can seem flattering and like you just clicked, but try setting a clear boundary with them and see how they react. Not just what they say, but they might become cold towards you seemingly suddenly. Also pay attention to how much they know about other people and how much they gossip. They know so much about people because they do that to manipulate people and situations around them. But a key to seeing this is seeing how much they talk about other people's business, because even a good person can know a lot of people's business, and you never know that they know because they aren't gossiping about it. Also, if you like someone else in the community or group who seems genuine and nice, and they talk badly about that person or try to get you to not like them, usually it's because that person is authentic, which scares them and puts them off. They also usually have a substance abuse problem they play off as partying or being chill, and or are very codependent with someone, whether it be a family member, romantic relationship, friend, or coworker. You'll find yourself trying not to judge them often, as they will perplex you often because manipulative behavior is odd and confusing for authentic people. You'll find yourself making excuses for them a lot. You'll find yourself feeling uneasy around them in certain situations or around certain people. They'll also always try to leave events with you to gossip after or hear a sob story or something like that. It's constant enmeshment and trying to put info in your head about other people. Next story. Ignoring boundaries. If they're eager to do something for you and you say no but they continue to press the matter, then it was never about doing something for you, but rather either using you to elevate themselves or indebt yourself to them that they can use to call on a favor from you later. Let's get to the next story. I read in The Gift of Fear that people who want to hurt you often try to gain your trust by putting you on the same boat as them. Something like, oh, we missed the bus, looks like we'll have to wait a while, the elevator broke, looks like we'll have to exercise today. Won't we? Some forced camaraderie to make you lower your guard. After all, you're in the same situation as them. You have empathy and you know exactly how they feel. You don't. They're just looking for a chance to hurt you. Let's get to the next story. The only real way to know what type of person you're dealing with is through observation over time. There's no collection of behaviors that you can point to that mark a person out as a good or bad person. The only thing you can do is observe them over multiple social interactions and see how they behave. I say you should have multiple interactions because people's interactions with others change with mood, fatigue levels, stress, and a variety of other factors. Everyone has a bad day, but what you need to look for is how they behave towards people who don't have a choice but to interact with them. Waiters, store clerks, that kind of thing. Story number 21. If they refer to themselves as being humble and a good person. If you have to tell people you're either of those things, I have my doubts that they're true. Let's get to the next story. I'm an old guy, so I have some life experience. Of the people I've known like this, and there's only been a couple, it's oddly meeting someone who seems to bend over backwards for you even though you didn't ask them. They volunteer stuff. They are trust, and the more trust they get, the more lenient your judgment. Let's get to the next story. 1. Everything is something someone else did to them too. They are never, ever, self-critical. 3. They never openly admire someone else. Story number 24. Focus on actions and effort. I'm someone who deliberately works to appear friendly, and I'm largely able to succeed using words, some conversational tricks, and believable smiles. But in a lot of cases, because I'm just acting friendly, I'm not going to be willing to expend much effort to help people. That's not to say I'll actually do anything to hurt them. That also takes effort, and I'm just not interested in it. But I'm more likely to just do nothing or stay out of it if the only thing I would get out of it is helping someone I don't actually care about. Story number 25. He seemed like a pretty good dude, but to waitresses he was always rude. I let it slide for a while, but I was just in denial. He's a bad person, I did finally conclude. Story number 26. They politely discredit people, split the opinions of groups, and are eager to promote themselves. They may do this in the most endearing way. Run from people that act in this manner. If they are in the process of attempting to get a workplace promotion, they will do the following. Endear themselves to the most effective members of the team. Then initially be friendly to everyone. They will find the people who are friendly back to them and help them achieve their goals. The last step is to discredit those who do not help them achieve their goals. This splits the team, effectively turning some people against others. The last step is to replace those who do not help them achieve their goals with new team members that may help them, thus elevating their status. Next story. Not being honest, talking about things that they do not know or understand instead of admitting they don't know crap. I usually test people. I observe their behaviors and decisions. If I am comfortable, I start communicating. Next story. The first time I met my husband's stepmom, now ex-stepmom, she was overly friendly. When we left, I even told my husband, "I'm sorry, but your stepmom is way too friendly, and it comes off as extremely fake." Prior to this introduction, he hadn't really told me anything about them. He let me know she is a very fake person, and will act friendly to your face but talk crap about you behind your back. One time when her sister was leaving, she was all like, "Ah, I'm so sad to see you go," crying and everything. Then when her sister was out of sight and said, "God, I hate that bee." Hey, thanks for subscribing and liking, it really means a lot to me. While you are here, feel free to hop on over to the last video. See you there. Ronnie.